Everyone is talking about the Cournot equilibrium, at least Dario Amodei and Dwarkesh Patel are.
And you.
And me, and some folks on the timeline. We're going back and forth and basically trying to get to this question.
And I feel like we should give the context on this, on the titling strategy of
yes.
these, because we call the run of shit, like we'll title an essay, "Why is no one talking about the Cournot equilibrium?" Because this one guy had this super viral thread a year or two ago. And the title was, "Why is no one talking about Mark Andreessen?" And we were laughing about it so much because he's one of the most talked about investors in venture.
He's
ever,
on the Midas list constantly. He's
like
written essays and
everyone's
books
talking
and
about, like,
been viral a million times.
And he's someone
done
that
so many podcasts.
he's someone that everyone in the industry has an opinion on already.
Totally.
He's not like a Midas lister. Who's
Not
up
under
there,
the radar.
but not a lot of people. It's like everyone's talking about it. But in this case.
Really, I mean, truly, I do think more people should be talking about the Cournot equilibrium, or at least learning about what it means, because it is this sort of obscure economic construct. And it's really, really old. The guy who coined it he died 150 years ago. His name's Antoine Cournot. And the basic idea is that if there's only a few players in a given market, you can think about any specific market, lemonade stands or whatever, and they aren't competing on price, they will compete on supply. And they'll try to predict what their competitors are doing and then respond accordingly. And this is really, really relevant to the AI lab discussion, because you can tell that even though all of the leaders of the AI labs say, "I don't think about the competition, I don't talk about the competition, I'll use general terms," they're all obsessed with what everyone else is doing, and they think about it constantly, very clearly. And if someone's buying 10 billion of compute over here, they're going to counter with 8 over there, or try and jump to 12. And everyone's sort of keying off of each other. Microsoft pauses, AWS goes all in. There's all these like horse races. It's why semi-analysis exists and provides great, cross-functional data.
Daniel in the chat says, "State actors at work."
Again.
Apparently we're having technical difficulties today.
We'll fight through it.
We're back.
We're back.
In every way, but we're working on it.
Okay. And so, there's this big question. Outside of tech, there's this discussion that I see that's always funny to me, where people would be like, "Oh, the price to earnings ratio."
Ryan says they don't want you to talk about the
They don't want
Cournot
us to talk
equilibrium.
about it. They don't want us to talk about it for sure. I like the Chiron too. AI labs locked in Cournot battle. So outside of tech, there's this discussion. I saw one person say the price to earnings ratio for OpenAI and Anthropic is just simply too high. And I was like, earnings? These companies are losing money. They don't have a price to earnings ratio. It's a divide by zero.
This is going to blow your mind.
Yeah, it's so much worse than you think, right? They're not making any money. They're deeply unprofitable. These are the most unprofitable companies in human history, I think. But at the same time, there is an economic rationality behind all of this. And what is that economic rationality? Well, when you're running a AI lab, you actually have two businesses that are sort of hiding within the P&L. And so the first, you share this brand, you share the data centers, you share compute, but there's a whole bunch of risks and rewards to the various pieces of the business. So first, you have training the models. So you make an upfront investment in a training run that creates a particular model generation. And then that asset depreciates as the frontier moves. And then when a new and better model is released, everyone moves over and you stop reaping the benefits of that, and the value of that model goes much, much lower. How much money is OpenAI making from GPT 3.5? They spent money training that. Now, not a ton, but
I would actually love to know.
They're probably making almost zero. Who's still on GPT 3.5? I don't even know if the API is live anymore. But GPT-4 is the really instructive example, because I believe that model cost like $100 million to train, and it was really expensive at the time. But then very quickly they were on a multi-billion-dollar run rate, and it was very clear that based on the inference margin and the subscriptions to ChatGPT Pro, that they made all the money back from GPT-4 and more. Now there's a question about, okay, well, if they go and spend $10 billion on training, how quickly will that come back? And how quickly can they reap that? And there's this game of chicken that's happening. So That's one of them. Then the other side of things is the inference factory. So this is essentially a manufacturing business. You have variable costs, so GPUs, power, engineering overhead, and then your revenue is subscriptions, API usage, and enterprise contracts. And so when you just look at inference, you see positive contribution margin. And we can see that because we can compare the cost to inference a model of the GPT-5 class size or the Opus 4.5 size. You can see, what does it look like to run an open source version of that model on commodity hardware? Well, it's way, way cheaper than what you pay to Anthropic or OpenAI, so they must have good margins. And everyone sort of agrees at this point that inference margins are in fact healthy. The question is, how do you balance those two pieces, and when do you risk over-investing? And that's sort of this Cournot game of chicken that everyone's playing. Now, the Cournot equilibrium comes when a small number of labs, an oligopoly, effectively choose supply at the frontier level, and then the market clears at a high price for frontier access. So choosing supply in this case means how many data centers get built, how many GPUs get ordered, but also how much low latency capacity is allocated to the top tier. So right now OpenAI just did the Cerebras deal, there's Claude Fast, and there's a whole bunch of different modes that will deliver faster inference, and how many of those fast queries you get, how much of the best chips are allocated to a particular tier that you're paying for is an economic question for the labs. So on the true frontier, there aren't great substitutes, and so price stays high based on customers' willingness to pay for frontier access. So you can just think about it in more simpler terms, like there's a ton of developers and knowledge workers who are happy to pay hundreds of dollars a month or more, but they always want the best available model. This is most people in executive roles in startups, right? It's like, yeah, I got my $200 a month subscription, I'll pay $250 or $100 or whatever, couple $100, and it just makes me better at my job. I just do whatever I need to do, but don't give me the old thing. I want the best. I want to know that the hallucination rate is as low as possible. I want to know that when it builds me an economic model, it's doing it as best as it possibly can. So I need to spend less time like
1% of the time, it makes a career-ending mistake.
Maybe
no.
No, I really do. There are some crazy, like possible outcomes. We haven't heard too many nightmare stories, but there certainly have to be out there, like the true hallucinations.
You need checks and balances.
Yeah. But increasingly, increasingly less.
Everyone's gone through the experience of somebody building a model and then being like, I don't know why, but it's wrong.
Yeah.
And then it's usually a battle.
Yeah.
You got to train that instinct that can just clock this, even if you have no, if it feels off.
I was talking to a buddy about using AI tools who works in like high yield debt, sales and trading and issuance. And he was like, yeah, like the models just like aren't that good. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, they don't understand like Q476 of the tax code and how it applies. And I was like, okay, yeah, actually that seems like something that they might not be great at. I was like, because I built a toy model with just like project out the cash flows, discount them back. And it did a great job. And I was like, cool. And he was like, no, I'm like 25 levels above that and like deep in all these different codes. And like, it's not quite there
Good work,
yet.
little bro.
It'll get there. But it's just like, the base models are not just going to be able to like one shot that. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah,
back.
You would imagine that like something as like if it's just like text code, even if it's super complex, you can just put that in the context and it just does a very good job.
Yes, but
like finding specific facts from a super big document is like that's one of the things that models are best at.
Yes, but there's a lot of are you laughing in the chat?
Ethan says computer fix TBPN. Use Gunna and Grok. Gunna could fix us.
We're back. Yes, but there are nuances to the tax code and to a lot of legal documents where the law says one thing, but it's implemented in a different way, or it's not enforced, or some regulatory organization has enforcement discretion, or there's some understanding. I mean, even if you just go into like training on IP. It's like if you have really good lawyers, you can figure out, okay, well, they'll come to the table, we'll be able to negotiate this will be the price, this will be the settlement. So even though the model might say, like, don't do that, like, you have a chance to do it. There's a whole bunch of different reasons why. But yes, I generally agree with you. This is like a 6 month away thing. But it's just like The current lived
Or it's the
experience.
current thing, but with like good,
Yes,
prompt
yes,
engineering.
yes, and maybe some more harnessing and and better context. Anyway, the question is like, where does this all go? What is the natural state of equilibrium in the longer term? Right now, they're locked in Cournot, where there's a whole bunch of companies, individuals that want to buy the best AI inference possible. They want the best tokens, they want the best deep research reports, they want the best code, and they're willing to pay for it, but we're supply constrained. And so OpenAI brings a certain amount of GPUs and tokens and supply to the market, and then Anthropic also does. And the whole Cournot thing is that they're all keying off of each other and saying, okay, if they're offering this much, I'm going to offer that much.
And to be clear, so having a product, not
Yes.
just an API business, gives you leverage because at
Yes.
some point the models are smart enough where you don't need to train them. You don't need to train a model that is 4% better because people are still coming to your application and
Yes.
having a good product experience, right?
Yes.
And so historically, one of the critiques to Anthropic's business was that they have to just be on this constant fly, sort of hamster wheel of training the best model
Yes.
because they have the majority of their business is this API business.
They're not an
People can
aggregator
just
yet.
swap it out for a smarter model.
Yes.
That said, they have Claude Code now,
Yep.
which gives them some more leverage
Yeah.
over the market.
And the really interesting thing is that Dario is now talking about being near the end of the exponential, or maybe producing like the final models, because we've talked to a few people about this, but it's very unclear if it's possible to create like a super intelligence that's like 5,000 IQ. It might just be they get good at all knowledge work and they can answer all tasks, but it's like the digital guy. And so at that point, it does commoditize and you drop out of Cournot equilibrium and you become customers are more aggressive about switching to cheaper models to cut costs because the frontier is now commoditized in the entire backlog. Everyone is at the frontier, basically. And so in that scenario, you switch over to Bertrand competition, which doesn't really mean that profits go to zero, but there is more competition. And it looks a lot more like the hyperscaler cloud market, which is, I think, what people have been sort of signaling towards. And also, it sort of explains why a lot of the VC firms are getting in multiple companies because they don't think it's going to be winner take all anymore. They think it's going to be much more oligopolistic for the long term, and there will be competition between the major 3 or 4 labs that will, and it will be much more about how can you marshal enough supply, create a huge barrier to entry. Like you and I could start an AWS competitor tomorrow, but it's going to be extremely expensive to bring up data centers that just serve web apps everywhere, let alone AI stuff, right? Building all those data centers. You're thinking what I'm thinking? You're thinking AWS
No, I was
competitor?
hanging.
People are saying, when does TBPN do a
I was
product?
hanging with my buddy Ben on Sunday, and he was. We both live in Malibu. He was thinking of just getting some chips and setting up Malibu Inference.
There we go.
Just the name alone, it sounds like you could get at least Malibu Inference.
It's really funny.
Would be
like
would be a beautiful name for a neo cloud.
Yeah, it's funny. And so there is a question about, in the final models, will there be differentiation? What does differentiation look like? There's a potential for differentiation around, okay, you get a model that's really good at bio or math or engineering or code or writing. That's possible. Another possibility is that there's just differentiation on quality, latency, safety, enterprise tooling, and you wind up with a small number of vertically integrated firms. And so in that scenario, I feel like OpenAI's recent moves make a lot of sense. Cerebras offers differentiated product around speed. Peter from OpenClaw joining makes a lot of sense around building orchestration products that can route to particular models. So the next generation of the Claude Code router that can route you to specific APIs and act as a model router on top for the agentic programmer AI assistant use case. You already see the model router happening in the ChatGPT consumer app. We haven't really seen that in the desktop CLI app. And so there's something interesting there. And then Frontier, OpenAI Frontier, that forward deployed engineer thing, that digs deeper into the enterprise and probably gets them more hooks in there, more pricing power.
The chat's going off today. Ryan says the Cournot company of Malibu.
Let's do it. I love it. Let me tell you about CrowdStrike. Your business is AI. Their business is securing it. CrowdStrike secures AI and stops breaches. Let's play the clip of Dwarkesh Patel and Dario Amade discussing the economics of AI labs, because I think it's informative. And this is where the whole Cournot current thing came from, because Dario dropped that phrase. And
So when you said, why is no one talking about it?
it was literally everyone that listened to the biggest podcast of the week. But I'm explaining it. Let's play it.
The whole industry here. Like we have a, let's just imagine we're in like an economics textbook. We have a small number of firms, each can invest a limited amount in, or like each can invest some fraction in R&D. They have some marginal cost to serve. The margins on that, the gross profit margins on that marginal cost are like very high because inference is efficient. There's some competition, but the models are also differentiated. There's some companies will compete to push their research budgets up, but like because there's a small number of players, we have what is it called? The Cournot equilibrium, I think, is what the small number of firm equilibrium is. The point is, it doesn't equilibrate to perfect competition with zero margins. If there's like three firms in the economy, all are kind of independently behaving rationally, it doesn't equilibrate to zero.
Help me understand that, because right now we do have three leading firms and they're not making profit. And so what
That's a good question.
Yeah, what is changing?
Yeah. So the gross margins right now are very positive. What's happening is a combination of two things. One is we're still in the exponential scale-up phase of compute.
Yeah.
So what that means is we're training, like a model gets trained.
Yeah.
It costs, let's say a model got trained that costs $1 billion last year. And then this year it produced $4 billion of revenue and cost $1 billion to inference from. So again, I'm using stylized number here, but that would be 75%.
These aren't my numbers. I'm just picking random numbers.
Gross margins and this 25% tax. So that model as a whole makes $2 billion. But at the same time, we're spending $10 billion to train the next model because there's an exponential scale up. And so the company loses money. Each model makes money, but the company loses money. The equilibrium I'm talking about is an equilibrium where we have the country of geniuses, in a data center, but that model training scale up has equilibrated more. Maybe it's still going up. We're still trying to predict the demand, but it's more leveled out.
Let's go. Let me tell you about TurboPuffer, serverless vector and full text search, built from first principles and object storage, fast, 10x cheaper, and extremely scalable. There is another fun clip that we should watch from A Beautiful Mind. Jordi, have you seen A Beautiful Mind? It won the Oscar for Best Picture, I believe. It's about the mathematician John Nash. Have you seen A Beautiful Mind?
I've not.
Wow, Unk status over there.
You would have. I was walking on the beach with Senra on, I think, Saturday, and we walked by an incredibly famous, one of the top movie directors of the last probably 10 years.
Wait, really?
And Senra was like, "Do you see that?" And I was like, "See what? It's a guy with a dog."
That's hilarious. I feel like that your beach tours have been really star-studded lately. This is a different from the previous one you mentioned, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
That's remarkable. Well, let's pull up the clip from...
Incoming, gentlemen.
It's from A Beautiful Mind.
Nash, you might want to stop shuffling your papers for 5 seconds.
Is that Eric Lyman?
Yes, it's Eric Lyman. In the Ramp biopic, we got our cast right here.
Oh.
This is the original looks maxing movie.
Everyone else feels she should be moving in slow motion.
Will she want a large wedding, you think?
Should we say swords, gentlemen? Pistols at dawn?
Have you remembered nothing? Recall the lessons of Adam Smith, the father of modern economics.
In competition, individual ambition serves the common good.
Exactly.
Every man for himself, gentlemen.
And those who strike out are stuck with their friends.
I'm not gonna strike out.
You can lead a blonde to water, but you can't make a drink.
I don't think he said that.
All right, nobody move. She's looking over here. Right, she's looking at Nash.
Oh, God. All right, he may have the upper hand now, but wait until he opens his mouth. Remember the last time?
Oh, yes, that was in the history books.
I think this is very, very stylized
What are you talking
and
about?
completely apocryphal. Like, he definitely thought of this theory, but not at a bar.
We block each other. Not a single one of us is going to get her. So then we go for her friends. But they will all give us the cold shoulder because nobody likes to be second choice. But what if no one goes for the blonde? We don't get in each other's way, and we don't insult the other girls.
Mogged.
That's the only way we win. That's the only way we all get laid.
So he's describing the prisoner's dilemma,
Adam Smith said,
where everyone must work together.
best result comes from everyone in the group doing what's best for himself, right? That's what he said. That's right. Incomplete. Incomplete.
Incomplete.
Okay.
Incomplete.
Because the best result would come from everyone in the group doing what's best for himself and the group.
Ash, this is some way for you to get the blonde on your own. You can go to hell. Governing dynamics, gentlemen. Governing dynamics. Adam Smith. What's wrong?
Yep, there we go.
Careful, careful.
Thank you.
It is. So good. Anyway, very fun.
Dave says, just join the stream. We watching a movie.
Yeah,
Well, it's
a
movie day.
Movie day.
We should bring back movie days in school.
Yes.
I mean, that was iconic.
Yeah, great.
Rainy day, substitute
Watching Gladiator
teacher.
in Latin class, that was the best. Really quickly, let me tell you about Vibe.co, where D2C brands, B2B startups, and AI companies advertise on streaming TV, pick channels, target audiences, and measure sales, just like on Meta. Anyway, very fun Nash equilibrium. Lots of game theory going on in the AI wars right now. Everyone's trying to figure out how far to push it. There's a fair amount of risk. There's still the Cournot game of chicken around who will invest the most in advancing the frontier. But the end state looks a lot more durable than pure model commoditization and the perfectly competitive situation that many were predicting a few years ago. So if you go back to like 2023, a lot of people were saying like the models will commoditize and there will be no value there, like no profits, because like the DeepSeek moment and it'll all be run on commodity hardware. That doesn't seem that likely. It seems like the labs will turn into sort of new hyperscalers. There will be increased competition, but still very, very good businesses a la cloud.